Welcome to PR 101 Podcast, the place where you can learn PR basics.
Hello, welcome back to our PR 101 podcast today. I'm your host, Xinyi Huang.
What is PR? PR is public relations, which is a strategic communication practice with the aim to build and maintain mutually beneficial relationships between an organization and its stakeholders. So PR normally involves managing communication and information to shape public perception, enhance reputation, and maintain a positive image. According to a survey by the World Economic Forum, more than 25% of a company's market value is directly attributed to its reputation. So it is time to know more about PR.
PR is all around us, from the brands we use, the celebrities we follow, to the political campaigns we support, and the social causes we care about. But are you struggling with understanding what PR is and how to explain your major or work to your parents? If you do have these questions, this podcast is for you. In PR 101, we'll dive into the definitions of PR and talking with experts and professionals about their experiences, insights, and their routines. Whether you are a PR practitioner, a student, or just someone interested in what PR is, how the media and public opinion are shaped, this podcast will tell you everything. So sit back, relax, and let's explore the fascinating world of PR. Today, we're excited to welcome Carolyn back to our podcast. Carolyn is my supervisor when I work as an intern at Zeno Group. She had been working in PR for over 6 years since she graduated from University of Florida. She has worked in big agencies such as Weber Shandwick and served for many world's leading companies, including Goldman Sachs, Deloitte, and etc. So, hi, Carolyn. Thanks for coming to PR 101.
Thanks so much for having me, Xinyi.
How's everything going?
Good. Another busy day at Zeno Group.
Oh, sounds good. So, would you like to first introduce yourself to our audience?
Certainly. So thanks again for having me. My name is Carolyn Batt. I'm an account supervisor at Zeno Group. We're a global integrated communications agency with a focus on PR. So like Xinyi said, if you're looking to get into PR or exploring it, this is the podcast for you. I'm based in Washington, D.C., but I work with clients across the U.S. and even some international ones too. My focus is on corporate communications, which encompasses media relations, executive visibility, digital strategy, employee engagement, and more.
Oh, sounds nice. So, would you like to tell us something about your educational background and why did you choose to learn PR? Because I know you majored PR in your undergrad.
Definitely. Yeah, so I graduated from the University of Florida with a degree in public relations. I chose to go down this path because I always loved to write, but I wasn't quite sure how to apply it in a career path, and I was never quite drawn to journalism. So to me, PR really combines the best of both worlds in terms of writing, so having that opportunity while really being on the inside of some of the world's most influential organizations. It's a really exciting industry. It forces you to adapt. You wear many different hats, and you have to stay nimble, so you're always learning. The agency environment also really relies on an entrepreneurial spirit, which is something I value in my career. So it was made perfect sense to me once I got my start in an agency to stick with it and explore the career path further.
Oh, that's a very similar experience. I also like writing and wanted to work on the entrepreneurship side. So when I realized this, I was thinking, how can I apply my abilities to my career that I expected, since I majored in sociology at that time. Then I tried many different majors and classes in communication college, and finally I decided to go to PR department, and that's also why I'm here right now.
So, what's your first job in after you graduate? Is that also an agency or?
Yeah, so my first job after I graduated was at a smaller agency called KWT Global. It was quite diversified in terms of the different industries and client sectors that we serviced, but it was heavily focused on media relations. So that's really where I got my start in learning all things media, working with reporters, understanding trends and how it impacts clients. And then from there, I moved on to Weber Shandwick, a large international agency as well. Did more corporate comms there, so everything from digital, executive visibility, awards programs, everything under sort of that umbrella. And then 2 years ago, I joined Zeno Group, also in the corporate affairs practice, working across a similar remit in the corporate sector.
Okay, I gotcha. So I also have a question because like when we talk about your like job descriptions, the responsibilities and the roles you took in the company, like have you ever met people who do not understand PR and your work, and then how did you explain your work to them in a simple and clear way? Because like for example, sometimes I'm struggling with how to explain my work to my grandparents when they're interested in what I'm doing right now, but I'm just like, I can't explain it super like, in a very simple way without jargons. Like every day, like we talk a lot about like digital, social media and like media monitoring kind of things, but like they just don't know what they are and how should we like explain to those who do not have a basic understanding of PR.
Right. So that's a great question, and I totally agree. It's super tricky to describe to people, and so often when you say you work in PR, people immediately think that you work in crisis, right? So crisis management, when something goes wrong, they tap the PR team, and that's certainly a part of what we do, but it's only a sliver of it, right? So in corporate communications specifically, we're really focused on elevating brands, solidifying their position in the marketplace through both external and internal communication. So like I said, jargon, that might be media relations, but really what that means is working with reporters, working in tandem with them around news, announcements, trends-focused pieces to influence their writing on behalf of your clients. It also includes announcing news, whether that's a leadership change or a new product launch in a really impactful way. Another important part of it is employee engagement. So not just connecting with external stakeholders, but also internal stakeholders, which is super important, in sort of the environment that we're in right now. So that's how I like to think about it. And specifically for corporate communications, you can get even more granular, talking about consumer PR, et cetera, but really where I focus is corporate. For people who are working in PR, just starting their career, it can be overwhelming at first. I think for all of those reasons that you just said, there's so much that, you don't learn in the classroom that you learn on the job, but it's really all about the basics, and each thing that you learn builds upon the last, and it all kind of slowly comes together into sort of a nice puzzle of all the different activities that we complete on behalf of clients.
Right. That I agree. That's super helpful. I'll tell my parents after this call like what I'm doing, and they should know more about this. I think my audience also interested in like what is your typical day like at a PR agency. Like I know what it's like, and you also know what it's like, but some of students still at school like who doesn't have tried internship in PR agencies, they may not know what it is like. So would you like to like simply describe it? Like, is it busy? Like, do we work extra hours? Is it like endless client calls all day and emails?
That's a great question. So there's certainly some days that there's more calls and emails than others. But what I will say is no 2 days are the same. And I think you hear that in a lot of different industries, but I'll say it's especially true at a PR agency where you're working for different clients. They all have different needs. So really no 2 days are the same. But I will say each day I, without fail, start the day by reading the news. And slowly as you do that, you start to read it through the lens of what that means for your clients, right?
Mm-hmm.
So at Xino, we say that we're an integrated communications agency born of PR. And so that means that media is really at the foundation of what we do. The news is at the foundation of what we do.
Mm-hmm.
So I always start my day by reading the news just to get a sense of what's happening and what's trending. It can certainly be a fast-paced environment, to answer your question about whether it's busy and whether we work extra hours. But really what it requires, given the pace, is just a strong sense of time management. I'll say at Xino Group in particular, it's a great place to work. We have a really solid foundation of work-life balance.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's all about the people you're working with and the place you're working at in terms of what that work-life balance looks like. But Xino definitely puts our people first.
I totally got it. Because before joining Xino, I didn't have the habit to read the news in the morning. But after I worked for a period of time at Xino, I was like, oh, like everything is connected so closely. You have to pay attention to the news because it may apply to your work and your client, which is very important. And I totally agree with this. Also, you just said we have a good work-life balance. I really agree because we had a great time working together, but we never urge our people to work after regular hours. Like we also have many PTOs, time off, as well as vacations, and I really, really like this. Okay, so my next question might be, what do you think are the essential skills required to be successful in PR? Because you have already like worked in this industry for over 5 years and 6 years. And what do you think, like what qualities and attributes are very important to be a successful PR practitioner?
Right. So I think there's a couple of different ways of thinking about it. In terms of the tactical and more tangible skills, you of course have to be a strong communicator, both internally and externally, right? So whether that's communicating with a company's employees or communicating with reporters, you have to have a strong grasp on sort of those interpersonal communication skills.
Mm-hmm.
There's also an important focus on client service. So being able to work closely with clients, have them see you as an extension of them, being able to provide strong strategic counsel, et cetera. And then, like I said earlier, a lot of it is project management, being able to manage your time well, prioritize, and navigate through those busier days. A lot can be taught, but it's really the intangibles, I think, in PR and in many other jobs that determine success. I'll say at Xino Group, we really value self-starters, a willingness to learn, that strong interpersonal communication style that I just mentioned with clients, reporters, internally, et cetera. And then ultimately really having an ability to thrive in a fast-paced environment. I think for a lot of people, it can be overwhelming, but welcoming that versus shying away from it is definitely the right attitude for agency life.
Totally. Like I know, like I feel like the most important thing is the time management, because if you don't like schedule everything very well, you're gonna like be overwhelmed because of there are so many tasks and some urgent emails, and that's so important. And so would you like to share with us the most impressive or like your favorite project or campaign you have ever participated in before?
Yeah, I'm happy to. So at Xino, I'm really proud of our work on Goldman Sachs Private Wealth Management. From 2021 to 2022, we had over a 400% year-over-year increase in media coverage, which is obviously significant and substantial, but it was really the result of activating around reports in a way that we hadn't before. So using Goldman Sachs' thought leadership, survey data, and research to amplify their presence in the media. It's one of my favorite parts of the job, being able to take data and really turning them into impactful insights for our target audiences, distilled and filtered through the media. So seeing that number come to life and knowing all of the work that went into getting those results was really, really exciting for me at the end of our 2022 year with them.
Oh, that sounds super good. So what do you think is maybe the failure or something you felt like uh maybe we can do better, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think in a similar vein, and I've talked about this a little bit, but having that learner's mindset is something that's super important. So in 2021, we did a report launch and we generated some strong coverage, but it wasn't nearly where we wanted to be or where we could have been. It was definitely a solid launch, but we could have done more. And looking toward our launch for this year, we have a really robust press briefing set up. We have a broadcast strategy, a digital strategy, et cetera. So I'm really excited about that, of kind of taking, I wouldn't necessarily say a failure, but a smaller sort of launch and taking key learnings from that and building it into something really exciting for this year.
Totally. So what advice do you have for someone who wants to get into PR, like students or people who are still thinking if they should go into PR or not? Like,
yeah, so
yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. So, in my opinion, and I'm probably a little biased because I've always been at agencies, but the best place
Mhm.
to start for people who want to work in PR is
Yeah.
at an agency. It really gives you a full sense of what PR entails. You work across different industries, so it allows you to get a sense of the different types of industries you want to work in, the different types of clients, the different types of work that could be asked of you. And then, like we talked about, you quickly learn how to navigate sort of a fast-paced, dynamic work environment. So my advice to people who want to get started in PR is really start by networking with an agency. So whether it's one that's not actively hiring or they have the perfect internship or junior level role, I definitely encourage you to reach out to agency team members or the talent team to learn more about their work and whether it's exciting for you, whether it's something you're interested in. And when you do land that perfect job, it's important to be ready to learn and really come with that learner's mindset that I mentioned earlier. But overall, I'll say, networking is the best thing that you can do. Build those relationships, show that initiative, and I think that's really what people value in people getting their start.
That's true. And so you just said like try to join a agency and take an internship before like your, very formal career. But have you ever considered joining any like in-house company or like, in-house PR team because I know you have like so many years experience in agencies already, but have you ever thought about this?
Yeah, it's certainly something to think about. And I think it's, an agency, of course, isn't for everyone. A lot of times people say that agencies are where you get your start, and then, maybe an in-house job is when it's time to settle down. And I think that is true in a lot of ways. And I think that's why it's important to have sort of that dynamic agency background. In my experience, and just from what I've heard, it's a lot easier to transition from agency to in-house versus in-house to agency. You go from working really with one client in-house to, 5 or 6 at an agency. So that's why I think it's important, but I think there's certainly value in going in-house as well, and sort of getting that firsthand client side experience.
Gotcha. So my last question is, do you have any like your favorite like industry or client, like be specific client as well? Like, do you have like any your favorite or like, after you have working with so many people and clients and the cons, do you have any like, could you please share like your favorite industry to work with? Is it like financial or food and beverages or consumer packaged goods or whatever? And why?
Yeah. So the nice thing about Zeno and and kind of where I got my start is that they're both certainly diversified agencies, right? So when we say that, we mean work, across sectors, across different industries. So right now, I'm on a pharmaceutical account, I'm on a professional services account, I'm on a financial services account, et cetera. So it provides you with a lot of different experience and expertise. In terms of what I like to do, I'm really passionate about financial and professional services, working with really matrixed organizations with high-level executives who are really making, impact across industries and sort of at a global scale.
Yeah.
So that's the work that really excites me, is sort of in that financial and professional services space. But, at a large agency like Xeno Group, we work across different clients, different sectors, both on the corporate and the consumer side. So, there's a lot of exciting work to be done.
That's amazing. Like I've helped with you with Goldman Sachs work like for several times, and it was like, I know it's so fast pacing, but like you did so well, and I really, really like your work. And thank you, Carolyn, for coming. And I think this is for us, like for today. And thanks again for your time, and appreciate this very enlightening conversation. And I think our audience will like this. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Xinyi.
Thank you, Carolyn, for coming and enabling us to not only to get to know more about the industry, but also the daily routines of PR professionals. We hope our listeners found this podcast informative and gained more useful tips for your own PR careers. I'm your host, Xinyi Huang, and until next time, join us again for more industry insights and interviews.